The readings from Sir Walter Scott's journal, which follow, are read by Eric Anderson, former past president, and the editor of Sir Walter Scott's journal, which the Oxford University Press put out in 1972. John Buchan said of Scott, "The greatest figure he ever drew is in the journal, and it is the man Walter Scott." Scott began to write his journal only in November 1825, when he was 54 years old, famous, happy, and wealthy. But within a few weeks, his publisher Constable and printer Ballantyne had gone bankrupt, and he found himself responsible for their enormous debts as well as his own. Within 6 months, his wife had died. The journal became the account of the heroic struggle of an elderly man in adversity, devoting all his time and dwindling energy to writing to pay off those debts. It is a tale of extraordinary courage. The first passages which I've chosen record the announcement of the financial crash. 1826, Edinburgh, January 16. Came through cold roads to us cold news. Hurst and Robinson have suffered a bill of £1,000 to come back on Constable, which I suppose infers the ruin of both houses. We will soon see. Constable, it seems, who was to have set off in the last week of December, dawdled here till in all human probability his going or staying became a matter of mighty little consequence. He could not be there till Monday night, and his resources must have come too late. Dined with the Skeens. January 22, Sunday. I feel neither dishonoured nor broken down by the bad, miserably bad news I have received. I have walked my last on the domains I have planted, sat the last time in the halls I have built. But death would have taken them from me if misfortune had spared them. My poor people whom I loved so well. There is just another die to turn up against me in this run of ill luck, i.e., if I should break my magic wand in a fall from this elephant and lose my popularity with my fortune. Then Woodstock and Boney may both go to the paper-maker, and I may take to smoking cigars and drinking grog, or turn devotee and intoxicate the brain another way. In prospect of absolute ruin, I wonder if they would let me leave the Court of Session. I should like, methinks, to go abroad and lay my banes far from the Tweed. But I find my eyes moistening, and this will not do. I will not yield without a fight for it. It is odd. When I set myself to work doggedly, as Dr. Johnson would say, I am exactly the same man that I ever was, neither low-spirited nor distrait. In prosperous times, I have sometimes felt my fancy and powers of language flag, but adversity is, to me at least, a tonic and bracer. The next 3 extracts give some picture of his daily life at Abbotsford and in Edinburgh, a story of unremitting literary work, interspersed with illness, interrupted by social callers, and by the public calls on his time. I did better yesterday than I had hoped for. 4 instead of 3 pages, which, considering how my time was eat up by prolonged morning lounging with friend Halliburton, was pretty fair. I wrote a good task before 11 o'clock, but then my good friends twaddled and dawdled for near 2 hours before they set off. The time devoted to hospitality, especially to those whom I can reckon upon as sincere good friends, I never grudge, but I like to welcome the coming, speed the parting guest. By my will, every guest should part at 10:30 or arrange himself to stay for the day. 1826, Edinburgh, December 10, Sunday. An uncomfortable and sleepless night, and the lime water assigned to cure me seems far less pleasant and about as inefficacious as lime punch would be in the circumstances. I felt main stupid the whole forenoon, and though I wrote my task, yet it was with great intervals of drowsiness and fatigue, which made me, as we Scots say, dover away in my armchair. Walter and Jane came to dinner, also my coz, Colonel Russell, and above, and a tower, James Ballantyne, poor fellow. We had a quiet and social evening, I acting on prescription. Well, I have seen the day. But no matter. 11. Monday. Slept indifferent well, with a feverish halo about me, but no great return of my complaint. It paid it off this morning, however, but the difference was of such consequence that I made an ample day's work, getting over 6 pages, besides what I may do still. On this, the 11th December, I shall have more than 1/3 of Volume 6 finished, which was begun on the 1st of this current month. Dined quiet and at home. I must take no more frisks till this fit is over. When once life's day draws near the gloaming, then farewell careless social roaming, and farewell jolly tankards foaming and frolic noise, and farewell, dear deluding woman, the joy of joys. Long life to thy fame, and peace to thy soul, Rob Burns. When I want to express a sentiment which I feel strongly, I find the phrase in Shakespeare or thee. The blockheads talk of my being like Shakespeare, not fit to tie his brogues. The final passage, written when he was visiting London, reminds us of the fame Scott acquired as the author of Waverley. 1828, London, May 11th, Sunday. Sat to Northcote, who only requires Deo gratias another sitting. Dined with His Majesty in a very private party, 5 or 6 only being present. I was received most kindly as usual. It is impossible to conceive a more friendly manner than His Majesty used towards me. I spoke to Sir William Knighton about the dedication of the collected works, and he says it will be highly well taken. I went after the party broke up to Mrs. Scott of Harden, where I made acquaintance with her beautiful kinswoman, Lady Sarah Ponsonby, whose countenance is really seraphic and totally devoid of affectation. 12. Monday. Old George II was, as is well known, extremely passionate. On these occasions his small stock of English totally failed him, and he used to express his indignation in the following form: God damn me who I am! God damn you who you be! Lockhart and I visited a Mrs. Quillinan, with whom Wordsworth and his wife have pitched their tent. I was glad to see my old friend, whose conversation has so much that is fresh and manly in it. I do not at all acquiesce in his system of poetry, and I think he has injured his own fame by adhering to it, but a better or more sensible man I do not know than W. Afterwards, Lockhart and I called on Miss Nicholson, and from thence I wandered down into that immense hash of a city to see Heath, and fortunately caught hold on him. All this made me too late for Northcote, who was placable, however. Dined at Sir John Shelley's, à petit couvert. Here were the Duke of Wellington, Duke of Rutland, and only 1 or 2 more, particularly Mr. and Mrs. Arbuthnot. The evening was very pleasant, and did not break up till 12 at night.